Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2, Unit 4.1, 4.6 Practice Test. Okay, so show every step and to remember to write your answers on the line. So these say factor completely. I do not have to solve because there's no equal sign. Okay, so what number goes in both 10 and 35? Good, it's a 5, and then they both have x's, and the smallest one is x squared. So I can factor out a 5x squared that goes out front, and then I divide everything else out. 10 divided by 5 is 2. X cubed divided by x squared is x. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and my x's cancel. So my final answer, I have to have that GCF out front, the 5x squared, and then I have 2x plus 7. Right, number 2. The first thing I check for, is there a GCF? No. Okay, so I want to multiply. What numbers multiply to get to negative 24 and add to get to negative 2? All right, 24 has a ton of factors. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. The only way to get to 2 is with 4 and 6, and the 6 needs to be negative. Make sure it works for both, and then we can split that middle term. All right, we have x squared plus 4x minus 6x minus 24. We draw the line down the middle. I take out the GCF of the first group, which is an x, and then we're left with x plus 4. I take a GCF out of my second group, which is a negative 6, and then I'm left with x plus 4. So woohoo, we did it right. X plus 4, and then my other binomial is x minus 6. So our final answer, x plus 4, x minus 6. We're going to make that look a little bit nicer. There we go. All right. Number 3. GCF? Nope. Oh, it's a quadratic binomial with subtraction, and they're both perfect squares. So I can take the square root. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. 1's a plus and 1's a minus, and the square root of 49 is 7. So we have 3x plus 7 and 3x minus 7. Number 5. Okay, once again, we're just factoring. There is no equal sign. There is not a GCF. That's the first thing we always want to check. So then I multiply 5 and 8 to get negative 40 and add to get to negative 18. So the factors of 40, 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. The only way to get to 18 is 2 and 20. And the 20 is negative. And good, that works for both. So then we're going to split the middle term. 5x squared plus 2x minus 20x minus 8. And then just factor. So we can take out an x out of the first group. And then we're left with 5x plus 2. In the back, it's negative, and it's a negative 4. And then when you divide that out, negative 20 divided by negative 4 is a positive 5x. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. So then 5x plus 2, x minus 4. All right, number 5. So remember, the first thing you always ask yourself, is there a GCF? And there is. The GCF goes out front, and then I'm left with x squared minus 7x plus 10. Okay? Now, I'm going to take my GCF and I'm going to put it right away into my answer with my two binomials. Okay? So now I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get to 10 and add to get to negative 7. Factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. And the only one that works is going to be 2 and 5. And they both have to be negative. All right, so we have x squared minus 2x minus 5x plus 10. The GCF of the first group is an x. The GCF of the second group is a negative 5. So if I did it right, that's going to be x minus 5, but let's find out. So we get x minus 2, and over here we get x minus 2. So woohoo, did it correct. So my final answer is 3, x minus 2, x minus 5. That's as far as I can go because, yeah, there's no equal sign. All right, next group. It's asking us to write the following expression in simplified square root form. So looking at the square root of 147, what breaks down 147? And if you don't remember, you got to write down 149. I'm writing down all of the perfect squares that I can fit. Oh, look, I can slide it over. 121, 144. Okay. When you break down 147, that breaks down to the square root of 49 and the square root of 3. Square root of 49 is 7, so we're left with 7 square root 3. Okay? For number 7, I need to break down that 32. Square root of 32 is the square root of 16 and 2, which is 4 and 2. So we have 3 times 4 square root 2. And remember, you can multiply 3 times 4 to get 12. So our final answer is 12 square root 2. All right, and the last one, number 8, I'm just going to rewrite number 8 over here. So we have negative 48. The first thing that I notice is that it's negative, so there's an I that comes out. And then 48, what does that break down into? Well, not 36, not 25, but yeah, 16. So then we get 4i square root 3. All right, number 9. Simplify the answer below and circle the type or types of solutions of the quadratic equation. The first thing that I notice is that there's the square root of 200, so I can break that down. Square root of 200 breaks down to 102, and the square root of 100 is 10. So we have x equals negative 15 plus or minus 10 square root 2 all divided by 5. And remember, we have to divide this out. I have to divide negative 15 divided by 5, plus or minus, and then I have 10 root 2 divided by 5. I have to figure out what those are before I get to my final answer. Negative 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then 10 divided by 5 is 2 root 2. So our answer is 3 plus or minus 2 square root 2. Now, I can't do anything else. That's as far as I can go. Now, first off, is that one solution, two solutions, or two imaginary solutions? Well, is there an I in there? No. No I, so it can't be imaginary. Is it one or two solutions? Well, remember, we have a plus or a minus. So right there is telling me that there are two solutions. So B is our answer. If there was an I in there, it would be imaginary. If we just had one answer, well, it would be one answer. All right, go ahead and flip it over. We're going to plow through this. Solve the following quadratic equation by using an appropriate method and give exact answers only. So, number 10. Is there a GCF? No. Is there, Siri, be quiet now. There's no GCF, so that means we need to multiply. Numbers that multiply to get to 30 and add to get to negative 11. Does anything work? Well, for 30, we got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Yeah. Negative 5 and negative 6 work here, and then negative 5 and negative 6 work here. So I need to split the middle term to get x squared minus 5x minus 6x plus 30. Remember, this all equals 0. Don't forget this guy. And I'm going to factor this. So the first group I can take out an x. The second group I can take out a negative 6. And then we're left with x minus 5 and, oh, that works out. X minus 5, we did it right. So I have x minus 5, x minus 6 equal to 0. I'm not done because they want us to solve. So everything with the variable, we set equal to 0, and then we solve. We would add 5 to both sides, add 6 to both sides. So our answer, x equals 5 and 6. Okay, so we factored. We always check, can I factor? Number 11, can I take out a GCF? Yeah, I can take out a GCF of 2, and then we're left with x squared plus 9x plus 18 equal to 0. And then always check, guys, because I personally, I think this is a lot faster than doing quadratic formula. So 18 is 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. And yeah, 3 and 6. Okay. So just like before, I'm going to drop this 2, and that's going to go with my binomials that are equal to 0. But we have x squared plus 3x plus 6x plus 18. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can factor those out. Good luck. Okay, so you should have gotten x plus 3 and x plus 6. Now, that's not my answer because I am solving. So anything with a variable, I set equal to 0. So we get x equals -3 and x equals -6. Siri's going crazy today over here. All right, number 12. Is there a GCF? No. Are there numbers that multiply to get to 6 and add to get to -8? 1 and 6, 2 and 3? No. So that's when we do the quadratic formula. Remember that x equals the opposite of b, so it's a -8. That means it's going to be a +8, plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So we have -8, 6, and 1, and then 6 on the bottom. So we get that x equals 8 plus or minus the square root all divided by 12. So underneath the square root, that's what we have to figure out. So we're going to do -8 squared, -8 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1, and we get +40. And I need to break down 40. Square root of 40 is, yeah, it's just 4 times 10, and the square root of 4 is 2. So my next step at x equals 8 plus or minus 2 square root 10 all divided by 12, I need to simplify each part of that. 8 divided by 12 plus or minus 2 square root 10 divided by 12. And then that's where we get our final answer. 8 divided by 12 is 2/3 plus or minus 2 divided by 12. Well, 2 divided by 12 is 1/6 root 10. Okay. Now, when I write my final answer on the line, I have 2/3 plus or minus 10 divided by 6, because square root 10 divided by 6, because I don't need the 1. Okay? All right, we're getting there. We're almost done. 13. We've got the parentheses. Now we're looking at inverse operations. I want to get everything outside of the parentheses first, so I have to add 3. I've got x plus 5 squared equaling 36. I take the square root of both sides, and we get that x plus 5 equals plus or minus 6. Okay? And now in class, we talked about doing this 2 different ways. You could break these up now and say that x plus 5 equals a +6, x plus 5 equals a -6, and solve it that way. That's perfectly legit to do. Okay, I'm just going to move this over here now. The other way we talked about is subtracting 5 to both sides, bringing that -5 out front, and then saying, oh, I can simplify this to -5 plus 6 and to -5 minus 6. -5 plus 6 is 1, -5 minus 6 is -11, and guess what? We get the same answers of -11 and 1. All right, number 14. I've got these guys on both sides, so I have to move the smaller one. We get x squared minus 4x minus 5. There's no GCF, but are there any numbers that multiply to get to -5 and add to get to -4? It's only 1 and 5. It works if the 5 is negative. Okay, so you guys are all on your own. See if you can solve it and tell me what the answers are. Factor and solve. Good luck. Okay, so you should have gotten 1 and -5, or -1 and +5 as your final answers. Okay, pause the video if you need to copy that work down. All right, last one, number 15. And it looks like we have to do SADMAP because of the parentheses. So I'm going to cancel my addition first. I have 1/5 x minus 7 squared equals 4. I'm multiplying the 1/5, and the way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply by the reciprocal. 5 over 1 is the same thing as 5. So I have x minus 7 squared equals 20. I need to take the square root of both sides. We get x minus 7 equals plus or minus. Sorry, my pen's kind of working, having trouble. I need to break down the square root of 20, which is 16, 9, 4. Square root of 4 is 2, so I'm left with 2, oh, not 5, 2, 2 square root 5. And then we need to add 7 to both sides to get x equals, positive 7 plus or minus 2 square root 5. So 7 plus or minus 2 square root 5 is our final answer. Okay? Now, your test is coming up very shortly. If you're having difficulty, you need to come see Miss Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Okay? Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra 2, Unit 4.1, 4.6 practice test. Thanks for watching.